Alright, so now we have the lower unit off and we're ready to take the water pump impeller housing off. If you still have the copper tube here, you can remove it like such. And now we're going to remove these 6 fasteners. Once you have all 6 out, you should just be able to move the housing straight up. And here is the water pump impeller. And be careful not to drop the key like I did. It ended up falling through the exhaust housing. So I just dumped it out the exhaust through the prop, but be careful that you don't lose that. Actually, the new impeller comes with a new key, so if you lose it, it's not too important. Your new impeller should have it. And for a link to the impeller for your model, check the video description. I've left links to where you can buy these impellers off Amazon. So what has me worried is this impeller doesn't look too bad off. I mean, it's pretty pliable, it's still rubbery, and whenever I was running the motor with the water muffs on the lower unit at the inlet, it wasn't pumping water. So that has me a little concerned that it's been sitting in storage for so long that maybe there's some corrosion in the power head, in the cooling lines, or like a dirt dauber or some little small animal got up there and made a nest and has the water veins in the power head clogged. So I'm going to go ahead and change the impeller, but this one looks not too shabby. So the key fits in this groove on the drive shaft, so set that aside. And you'll see on the bottom of the impeller that the key will want to slide and fit in there like such. So when you slide the impeller down, make sure the key is oriented the same way. And to make the key stick in place, you can put a little of this 2,4-C grease, marine grease, there, and it should kind of stick it to it. You'll want to apply some grease to the drive shaft so the impeller slides down nice and easy. Also want to put some inside the impeller keyway here, and make sure it's nice and ready to slide in. So I kind of looked before I slid it down to make sure the keyway was in the right orientation, and it may take a little bit of playing to get it to slide down into position, but there we go. And to test it, if you spin the drive shaft, which you should be able to do with your hand, the impeller spins as well. Now, note the way the impeller, let's make sure I got it oriented right. So the vanes will want to bend this way for a clockwise rotation. So the next thing we're going to do is button her back up, put a little grease on this surface, slide it back down, and as we get close, we're going to turn this thing clockwise, the drive shaft clockwise, and make it fit on down in there. I'll show you. It's best to grease up everything. Anything that I use in the video, I'll put in the video description. And on my website, thisoldoutboard.com. You also want to inspect the cup at this point. You can buy impeller kits that have all of these O-rings here and these little rubber gaskets and a new metal cup here. If yours is burred up or damaged for some other reason, you can buy a more comprehensive impeller kit that includes all of this. But I'm going to go ahead and coat everything with this grease before I put it back down. Alright, now that I have everything ready, slide it back down into place, and there we go. Now we're going to put the screws back in. Just tighten her on down. Don't over tighten her. As I mentioned before, the water tube goes into here, but I'm going to put this back up in the exhaust housing where it goes and have it hanging out there as I slide in my lower unit, and I'll make sure that this attachment hooks up. So I'm not going to put this back here like this now. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the exhaust housing, the upper side, first. So hopefully it comes up pretty clear in the video, but right there is where that tube needs to slide up into. Right here is where our drive shaft is going to slide up and engage the power head. That water tube needs to go in that hole right above this here shift rod that I'm wiggling. Hopefully that shows up. So whenever you get ready to put the lower unit back in and the copper tube pipe, make sure you have it oriented in this fashion where the copper tube there is on the right side of the shift rod and right above the drive shaft inlet.